Hi, I'm Charmaine Yost, Senior Fellow here at American Values Action. Well, last night we saw the Super Bowl of American politics. Then this morning Gary was up early, headed out to give a speech, but we wanted to take a few minutes to give you some takeaways and a little bit of analysis from last night's debate. We're seeing now this morning that they're estimating over 100 million people actually watched the debate on television. 18.6 million people were involved on Facebook. 73.8 million likes, shares, and comments given on Facebook. And then on Twitter, there were 6.7 million tweets. The number one takeaway from last night's debate is this really is the jobs election. Right now in America, we have 94 million people who are not even participating in the labor force. If you add the 8 million people who are unemployed, that gives us over 100 million people. What an astonishing number of people who are either unemployed or not even in the labor force. And that's up from about 78 million when Barack Obama became president in 2008. So the debate justifiably started with jobs.
We just have a different view about what's best for growing the economy, how we make investments that will actually produce jobs and rising incomes. I think we come at it from somewhat different perspectives. I understand that.
Our jobs are fleeing the country. They're going to Mexico. They're going to many other countries. You look at what China is doing to our country in terms of making our product. They're devaluing their currency, and there's nobody in our government to fight them. And we have a very good fight, and we have a winning fight, because they're using our country as a piggy bank to rebuild China.
Another moment that we felt was truly important is when they talked about NAFTA.
And I have
Your husband signed NAFTA, which was one of the worst things that ever happened to the manufacturing industry.
That is your opinion.
You go to New England, you go to Ohio, Pennsylvania, you go anywhere you want, Secretary Clinton, and you will see devastation where manufacturing is down 30, 40, sometimes 50%. NAFTA is the worst trade deal maybe ever signed anywhere, but certainly ever signed in this country. And now you want to approve Trans-Pacific Partnership. You were totally in favor of it. Then you heard what I was saying, how bad it is, and you said, I can't win that debate.
That is just not accurate. I was against it once it was finally negotiated and the terms were laid out. I wrote about that in...
You called it the gold standard.
Well, I hope...
You called it the gold standard of trade deals. You said it's the finest deal you've ever seen.
No.
And then you heard what I said about it, and all of a sudden you were against it.
Well, Donald, I know you live in your own reality, but that is not the fact.
In keeping with what we've been seeing in this campaign, the issues last night really did center very much on Donald Trump. Lester Holt's questions focused on Donald Trump's taxes, the birther question, and Donald Trump businesses. In fact, we were really interested to see this morning waking up that the data showed that Lester Holt interrupted Donald Trump 11 times and Hillary Clinton not at all. Lester also had 6 times that he followed up with Donald Trump challenging him on his points, and Hillary Clinton not at all. For once, we agreed with NARAL. They ran a social media campaign doing #AskAboutAbortion, but of course we saw no questions last night at all about the life issue. No questions about religious liberty, no questions about judges, no questions about immigration, and nothing at all about family breakdown. Coming up next, we'll see a town hall format in St. Louis on Sunday, October 9th, and hopefully that format will give us a chance for real Americans to ask these questions that are so important to us. And then lastly, on behalf of Gary Bauer and American Values Action, I want to remind you that we're coming up on the deadlines for getting registered to vote in this really, really essential election. So please do take the time to check your state laws and be sure that you're registered to vote on November 8th.